All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep into Tamriel, but tabletop style this time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're talking about the Unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG. UESRPG for short.
Okay.
You've been asking about how this system stacks up against other tabletop RPGs.
Yeah,
And you want to know how closely it's tied to those amazing Elder Scrolls video games.
for sure.
So get ready. We're about to roll some virtual dice as we explore all the cool parts of this game.
Awesome.
And lucky for us, I've got an expert here to help guide us through this massive world.
Well, one thing that grabs you right away about the UESRPG is how big it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't just try to, throw a fresh coat of paint on an old system, you know?
Right.
It really tries to capture what makes Elder Scrolls special. The huge world, the complex gameplay, the unique feel, and make it work on a tabletop.
So it's not just for diehard Elder Scrolls fans.
Right.
You're saying anyone who enjoys tabletop role-playing in general could get into this.
Absolutely. It definitely speaks to fans of the games. You've got all the familiar races, spells, places you'd expect.
Right.
But the gameplay itself is solid and interesting enough to stand on its own, even if you don't know all the lore.
Okay, let's start with character creation.
Sure.
I took a quick look at the rulebook.
Yeah.
And honestly, the options seem a little overwhelming, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as picking a class and rolling some dice, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Character creation in UESRPG is like an adventure in itself.
Really?
Right from the start, you've got 9 playable races in the main rulebook, all straight out of the Elder Scrolls universe.
Oh,
High elves, Argonians, wood elves, you name it.
nice.
And each race isn't just like a bunch of numbers.
Right.
They have unique traits and abilities that can totally change how you play the game.
So for example, if I want to play as a sneaky archer,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to go with a wood elf than, say, a Nord.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Wood elves get bonuses to archery and stealth. Plus, they can hide in forests, so it really fits that playstyle.
Makes sense.
And you're not stuck with just those core races.
Oh, really?
The UESRPG community is awesome.
Cool.
They've made a ton of extra content for free, adding even more choices.
Wow.
You can play as a Falmer living in the snow, or a Marimer who sails the seas,
Yeah.
each with their own unique quirks and abilities.
Wow, they're really dedicated.
Yeah.
Okay, but race is just the beginning, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What else makes character creation so special in this system?
Well, birth signs are a big deal, just like in the games.
Right, yeah.
You have the classics, warrior, mage, thief, but then there are also these rarer, star-cursed versions of each,
Interesting.
which adds this really cool risk-reward element.
Okay.
You might get some powerful bonuses, but they often come with a downside you have to work around.
Oh, I see.
It forces you to get creative with your character.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not just about maximizing your stats.
Right.
It's about playing a character with flaws and strengths, which makes the role-playing experience so much better.
Exactly. And all of this is before you even get into skills and attributes.
Oh, wow.
But we'll get into those a bit later.
Okay, sounds good.
The fascinating thing about character creation in UESRPG is that it sets the stage for the story.
Yeah.
Your choices aren't just about numbers. They tell you who your character is in the world.
I see.
What drives them, their good and bad points.
It's like your character's backstory is built into the system right from the start.
Exactly.
All right, I'm hooked.
Cool.
But let's talk mechanics.
Okay.
How does UESRPG actually play?
Yeah.
Is it similar to Dungeons & Dragons, or does it do something completely different?
It definitely takes some cues from other tabletop RPGs,
Okay.
but it also adds some unique twists that give it a special feel.
Cool.
One of the things that sets it apart right away is the dice system.
Okay.
It's not your usual roll high and hope for the best situation.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, in UESRPG, you have lucky and unlucky numbers for your character.
Okay.
They're determined when you create your character.
Yeah.
And they add a whole new level of strategy and unpredictability to each roll.
So even if I roll a low number, it could be a good thing if it happens to be one of my lucky numbers.
Exactly.
Wow.
You might mess up an attack, but maybe you accidentally disarm your opponent in the process.
Oh, okay.
Or you might completely fail at persuading someone,
Right.
but somehow end up with a better deal.
Interesting.
It's a great way to create those memorable, that's so Elder Scrolls moments at the table.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those times when you're playing Skyrim and you accidentally shout a dragon off a cliff.
Yeah.
You messed up, but it worked out better than you could have planned.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting with the critical success and failure system.
Okay.
It's not just about passing or failing a skill check.
Right.
It's about how well or how badly you succeed or fail.
Oh.
Which leads to some truly epic or really funny moments that feel straight out of the games.
So I could try to pickpocket a guard. And instead of just failing, I accidentally set off something that alerts the entire city.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
It makes every role feel important.
Right.
And it encourages you to think creatively to solve problems.
Yeah.
Both for the players and the game master.
Cool.
You never know what crazy situation might come up from a lucky or unlucky roll.
I'm starting to see what you meant when you said this system has its own special feel.
Yeah.
It sounds like it really captures that unpredictable nature of the Elder Scrolls world.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to character progression.
Okay.
How does UESRPG handle leveling up and getting stronger?
Yeah.
Is it the traditional experience point system, or is something else going on?
UESRPG has a really refreshing approach to character progression.
Okay.
It moves away from that typical grind for experience points model
Right.
and focuses on a more natural and story-driven approach.
Okay, so no more endlessly killing rats in a basement to level up.
Right.
I like that. Tell me more.
The system emphasizes using your skills and role-playing.
Okay.
The more you use a skill, the better you become at it.
Got it.
It's not just about collecting points, it's about actively participating in the game world.
Yeah.
And letting your character's actions guide their development.
So like a warrior who spends all their time training with a sword will naturally become better at it.
Exactly.
Even without getting tons of XP for every goblin they kill.
Right.
Makes sense.
And it's not just about combat skills.
Okay.
A charismatic bard who's always using their charm and wit to get through social encounters would naturally become more persuasive and eloquent.
Right.
It encourages players to think about their character's actions in a more well-rounded way.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes the world feel more responsive to your choices.
Exactly.
It's not just following a set path.
Right.
You're shaping your character's future through what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the skill system itself is super robust and detailed.
Okay.
You have your standard skills.
Right, like acrobatics or alchemy.
Exactly, like alchemy, smithing.
Okay.
But then there are these really interesting things called field skills.
Field skills, what are those?
Yeah, field skills go deeper into specialized areas of expertise.
Interesting.
For instance, instead of just having a general combat skill, you might choose a specific field skill.
Okay.
Like sword and shield or two-handed.
Oh, I see.
Each field skill comes with its own set of moves and techniques.
Nice.
Which makes combat more tactical and exciting.
So, like, I could really focus on a specific fighting style?
Yeah.
Like a Redguard sword master who's all about dual wielding?
Exactly.
Or an orc berserker who just wants to smash things with a giant axe?
Right, exactly. Right. And the system goes even further.
Yeah.
It also allows for specializations within skills.
Oh, wow.
So you can really fine-tune your character's expertise.
That's pretty cool.
Imagine a thief who's not just good at picking locks, but is a master of Dwemer mechanisms, able to open the most complicated locks with ease.
Wow, that's what I call character depth.
Yeah.
You're not just picking a class and sticking with it. You're creating a truly unique character with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
It's about creating characters that feel real and grounded in the world.
Yeah.
Even if they have amazing abilities.
Right.
It adds so much to the role-playing aspect of the game.
Speaking of role-playing,
Yeah.
I know a lot of Elder Scrolls fans love the freedom the games give you.
Right.
You could be a noble knight, a sneaky thief,
Yeah.
a powerful mage, or anything in between.
Yeah, totally.
Does the UESRPG capture that same feeling of freedom?
It definitely does. The system is built to be flexible and adaptable.
Okay.
So players can create characters that fit their preferred playstyle and what they want their story to be.
Nice.
Whether you want to be a brave hero who charges into battle,
Right.
or a cunning rogue who works from the shadows.
Yeah.
UESRPG gives you the tools and mechanics to make those visions a reality.
So it's not just about following a set storyline.
Right.
You can really create your own path and make choices that affect the world around you.
Exactly.
That's what I love about tabletop role-playing.
Yeah.
It's all about collaborative storytelling and shared experiences.
For sure.
You're not just watching a story happen.
Right.
You're actively creating it together.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And UESRPG does a fantastic job of making that happen.
Oh.
It gives you the tools and inspiration,
Okay.
but it leaves the creative control in the hands of the players and the game master.
Cool.
Okay, I'm convinced about character creation and the overall idea of the system.
Good.
But what about the actual gameplay?
Yeah, we talked about combat a little.
Yeah.
But can you give us a more detailed explanation of how it all works in practice?
Well, the combat system in UESRPG is designed to be both tactical and engaging.
Oh.
It tries to find a balance between making strategic decisions
Right.
and those unpredictable cinematic moments that you see in the Elder Scrolls.
Got it.
It all starts with initiative, just like most tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
Each character rolls a die, adds their initiative modifier,
Yeah.
and whoever rolls the highest gets to act first.
Okay, so that determines who gets the jump on who.
Right.
Makes sense.
But it's not just about going first. There's more to it.
Okay, what else is there?
Actions in combat are controlled by action points,
Action points.
or AP.
AP, okay.
Each character has a certain number of AP they can spend on different actions,
Okay.
like attacking, moving, casting spells,
Right.
or using special abilities.
So you have to be smart about how you use those points.
Exactly.
And just go all out on every turn.
Exactly.
Got it.
It adds a level of strategy to every fight.
Yeah.
Do you use all your AP on one powerful attack?
Right.
Do you spread them out to move and defend yourself?
Okay.
Do you save some for a crucial spell later on?
Interesting.
It's all about weighing your options and adapting to what's happening.
And it sounds like those lucky and unlucky numbers we talked about could really change things up in combat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you might have the perfect plan,
Yeah.
but then an unlucky roll throws everything off.
Oh, right.
Or you might get lucky
Yeah.
and turn a bad situation into a victory.
Got it.
It keeps things exciting and unpredictable,
Makes sense.
just like the Elder Scrolls games themselves.
Okay, so we've got initiative, action points, lucky and unlucky rolls.
Yeah.
What about actually attacking or defending?
Right.
How does that work mechanically?
When you attack,
Yeah.
you roll a die,
Okay.
add your relevant skill modifier,
Yeah.
and compare it to the target's defense.
Got it.
If your roll is higher, you hit.
Okay.
But it's not just about hitting or missing.
Right.
The system also has hit locations and critical hits.
Oh, cool.
It makes combat more detailed and realistic.
So I could aim for a weak spot,
Yeah,
like an opponent's head or legs,
exactly.
to try to do more damage or slow them down.
Exactly. And if you roll really well,
Yeah.
you might get a critical hit, which
Wow.
does bonus damage
Okay.
and can even trigger special effects.
Awesome.
It's a great way to create those movie-like moments where
Yeah.
one well-placed hit changes everything.
It sounds like combat in UESRPG is way more than just rolling dice and comparing numbers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about strategy, skill, and a bit of luck, like a real fight.
Exactly.
Speaking of realism, we talked about injuries earlier.
Yeah,
How detailed does that system get?
right.
Can you really feel the impact of each hit?
The injury system in UESRPG is surprisingly detailed.
Okay.
And I'd say a bit gruesome.
Interesting.
It's not just about keeping track of hit points.
Okay.
When a character takes a lot of damage,
Yeah.
they have to make a shock test,
Shock test.
which shows how well their body can handle the trauma.
Got it.
Failing that test can lead to all sorts of bad things.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, depending on how bad the wound is and where it is, a character could end up with a crippled limb, lose an eye, or even have an organ damaged.
Whoa. Oh.
And if a wound isn't treated properly,
Yeah.
it could cause long-term problems, even permanent disability.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah,
It really makes you think about the consequences of fighting.
right.
You can't just shrug off a sword to the chest.
Exactly.
That makes those healing potions and restoration spells even more important.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But it's not just about physical injuries.
Uh,
UERPG also has rules for mental trauma and things like fear and panic.
Interesting.
So facing a terrifying creature in a dark dungeon
Yeah.
could leave a character shaken even if they manage to escape without a scratch.
Right. That makes sense.
Those psychological effects can be just as bad as physical wounds.
Yeah.
And they add another level of depth to the game.
Okay, so we've got this gritty, realistic combat system.
Right.
With detailed injuries and even psychological effects.
Yeah.
What about ways to protect yourself from those risks? Armor, shields, spells, that kind of thing.
Of course, UESRPG has a ton of defensive options.
Yeah.
Just like all the different equipment and abilities you find in the Elder Scrolls games.
Oh.
You've got your classic armor types, light leather, heavy plate, everything in between.
Yeah.
Each one giving you different levels of protection.
Makes sense.
Shields are important for blocking attacks and protecting vital areas.
Right.
And then there's magic for defense.
Okay.
Spells like Stone Flesh and Iron Skin
Yeah.
can make your skin tougher so you take less damage.
Ooh.
And restoration magic can heal wounds and cure diseases.
So there's a good balance between offense and defense.
Exactly.
It's not just about who can hit the hardest.
Right.
It's about knowing when to attack, when to defend, and when to use those special abilities or spells to change the situation.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's a dynamic system that keeps combat interesting and exciting.
Cool.
And the best part is you can customize it.
Oh, how...
Game masters can adjust how hard combat is
Okay.
and how complex it is.
Got it.
Got it.
To match the player's experience and what they like.
So you could have a fast-paced, action-packed fight in a tavern.
Yeah.
Or a tense, strategic siege on a bandit fortress.
Exactly.
It's all about creating the right mood and challenge for the group.
Exactly.
This all sounds incredibly immersive.
Yeah.
It's like playing the Elder Scrolls games, but on a tabletop.
It really is immersive.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the mechanics.
Okay.
UESRPG encourages role-playing and storytelling.
Right.
It wants players to really get into their characters and make choices that matter.
Makes sense.
It's not just about rolling dice and winning fights.
Right.
It's about telling a story, exploring a world, and creating memories with friends.
I agree.
That's the heart of tabletop role-playing. And UESRPG is a fantastic way to experience that.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to gather some friends, grab the character sheets, and set out on an epic quest in the world of Tamriel.
Me too.
Okay, before we get totally lost in the world of Tamriel. Yeah.
There's one thing we haven't talked about yet. Magic.
Right.
It's such a huge part of the Elder Scrolls.
For sure.
And I'm really curious to know how UESRPG brings that to life on the tabletop.
Yeah.
I'm picturing epic spell battles, summoning Daedra, maybe even making some crazy potions.
Cool.
Does UESRPG deliver on all the magical awesomeness we expect from the Elder Scrolls?
Oh, it totally does.
Okay.
Magic in UESRPG isn't just an extra thing.
Go ahead.
It's a core part of how the system works.
Nice.
And it's incredibly versatile.
Like what?
You can throw fireballs,
Okay.
summon creatures,
Cool.
strengthen your allies, heal yourself,
Right?
to manipulate reality itself.
Wow.
It's not just your typical fireball and forget kind of magic.
Right.
There's a lot of depth and complexity to it.
So it mirrors the Elder Scrolls lore.
Exactly.
The different schools of magic.
Right.
Alteration, conjuration, destruction, illusion, mysticism, and restoration. Each school having its own unique set of spells and mechanics.
Right.
So I could be a classic destruction mage blasting enemies with lightning bolts.
Right.
Or I could go full illusionist, messing with their minds,
Exactly.
making them see things that aren't there.
Yeah.
And the spells themselves aren't just generic damage dealers.
Right.
They're designed to feel flavorful and impactful, just like in the games.
Exactly.
Instead of a boring old fireball, I could cast Incinerate, engulfing my target in flames that leave a traitor behind.
Exactly.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's all about those dramatic moments, right?
Sure.
But from playing the Elder Scrolls games, I know spellcasting can be a bit risky.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might accidentally blow yourself up.
Yeah.
Or turn a friendly NPC into a chicken.
It happens.
Does UESRPG capture that sense of risk and reward with magic?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Spellcasting in UESRPG isn't just about picking a spell
Yeah.
and watching it work perfectly every time. There's an element of chance involved, just like in the games.
Okay.
When you cast a spell, you have to make a skill check.
Yeah.
And what happens depends on how well you roll.
So even if I'm a master mage, there's always a chance I might mess up
Right.
and have things backfire spectacularly.
Exactly.
What kind of backfires are we talking about?
Okay, so imagine you're trying to cast a powerful healing spell on your ally.
Yeah.
A minor backfire might just make it a weak heal,
Okay.
but a major backfire could accidentally age them rapidly,
Oh, wow.
turning a young warrior into a frail old man.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Or maybe you're trying to summon a fearsome Daedra to fight with you.
right.
A backfire could twist the ritual, bringing forth a harmless scamp instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I can already imagine the chaos and laughter that would cause at the table.
for sure.
It's like those moments in the Elder Scrolls games
Yeah.
when you accidentally shout a dragon off a cliff
Yeah.
or turn yourself into a sweet roll. You mess up, but it makes for a great story.
Exactly.
Nice.
And those unexpected moments are often the ones players remember the most.
That makes sense.
It's what makes tabletop role-playing so special and engaging.
Yeah,
It's a shared experience,
for sure.
full of surprises and laughter.
Right.
And those moments of emergent storytelling,
Yeah.
you just can't get that from a video game.
I completely agree.
Okay, so we've covered spellcasting.
Yeah.
What about enchanting and alchemy?
Right, those are such big parts of the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, for sure.
Does UESRPG do them justice?
It absolutely does.
Oh, good.
Enchanting and alchemy are just as detailed and engaging as the spellcasting mechanics.
Okay.
They're practically games in themselves.
I'm all ears.
Okay, cool.
Tell me about Enchanting first.
Right.
What kind of magical goodies can we craft in UESRPG?
Just like in the games,
Okay.
enchanting lets you give items magical properties.
Okay.
You can make weapons that burst into flames, armor that makes you stealthier, rings that boost your intelligence.
Nice.
The possibilities are endless.
So I could be a sneaky archer with a bow that silently shoots exploding arrows.
Exact.
That sounds ridiculously fun.
Yeah.
And the system doesn't hold back.
Nope.
You can get really creative with your enchantments, combining different effects to make truly unique and powerful items. Now, I'm imagining an enchanted sword that not only bursts into flame, but also makes a funny moo sound every time it hits something.
That's great.
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And making enchantments is just as fun as using them.
For sure.
It's not just about spending some gold and having a magical item appear.
Right.
You have to gather materials,
Yeah.
learn the right formulas,
Uh-huh.
and then perform a ritual that involves skill checks and some luck. So there's a real sense of accomplishment when you finally make that perfect enchanted item.
Exactly.
It's not just given to you, you have to earn it. And then there's alchemy, which is just as intricate and rewarding.
Yeah.
You can brew potions and poisons
Uh-huh.
using all sorts of ingredients you find in the world. So it's not just about mixing random plants together
Right.
and hoping for the best.
No.
There's some actual science or, well, magic science behind it.
Exactly.
You have to understand what different ingredients do,
Yeah.
how they work together,
Uh-huh.
and what might happen when you combine them. It's a system that rewards experimenting and learning,
For sure.
just like in the games. So I could spend hours in my alchemist's lab
Yeah.
trying different ingredients
Uh-huh.
to discover the perfect formula for a potion that makes me invisible or immune to fire.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And the results can be funny as well as helpful.
How so?
A botched potion could have all sorts of weird side effects,
Okay, like what?
from turning your hair green
Oh, wow.
to making you dance uncontrollably.
Okay, I'm totally sold on the magic system in UESRPG. It sounds like it captures all the depth, variety, and unpredictable fun of magic in the Elder Scrolls.
For sure.
But before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
there's one thing I'm curious about.
Okay.
We've talked about how faithful this system is to the Elder Scrolls.
Right.
But is it just a copy of the games?
Yeah.
Or does it bring something new to the table?
It's a great question.
Thank
And the answer is it finds a brilliant balance between being familiar and being innovative.
Okay.
It stays true to the core elements of the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
But it also expands on them in ways that feel natural and exciting.
So it's not just about recreating those iconic moments from the games.
Yeah.
It's about giving players the tools to create their own stories and experiences within that world.
Exactly.
That's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
It's familiar enough to draw you in,
Right.
but it's also fresh and exciting enough to keep you coming back for more.
For sure.
And the best part is, it's all free.
That's right.
Wow.
All of this amazing content.
The core rulebooks, the expansions, the countless modules and supplements,
Yeah.
it's all available online, completely free.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It shows how passionate and dedicated the UESRPG community is.
For sure.
They've created something truly special,
Yeah,
and they're sharing it with the world without asking for anything in return.
exactly.
It's a great example of what people can achieve when they create together.
Absolutely.
It's a game made by fans, for fans,
Yeah.
and you can see that in every detail.
For sure.
Well, I'm feeling incredibly inspired to gather some friends, roll some dice,
Yeah.
and see what adventures await in the Unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG.
Me too.
If you're an Elder Scrolls fan,
Yeah.
and you're looking for a tabletop experience that captures all the magic, depth, and fun of those games,
Right.
look no further.
This is it.
The world of Tamriel awaits.
For sure.
Gather your party, sharpen your swords, and prepare to embark on an unforgettable journey.
It's going to be good. May your dice rolls be ever in your favor.
Always.
This has been an awesome deep dive into the Unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG.
It has.
We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
Yeah, I'm having a blast.
But we're not done yet.
Oh, right.
There's still so much more to explore.
Like what?
Well, for starters,
Yeah.
we've covered the basics of character creation.
Right.
And we've touched on how the UESRPG system tries to capture that unpredictable, emergent storytelling feel of the Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah, that's key.
But we haven't even scratched the surface of what makes this game truly special.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So are you ready to dive even deeper?
Absolutely. Lead the way.
All right, let's get back to it.
Okay.
We were talking about how UESRPG manages to capture the magic of the Elder Scrolls.
Right, yeah.
But does it just recreate the games?
Yeah.
Or does it add something new?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it does a really good job of blending the familiar with the new.
Okay.
It sticks to the core elements of the Elder Scrolls.
Right, like the races and lore.
Exactly. The races, the lore, the mechanics.
Yeah.
But then it uses those as a foundation to build something really special.
So it's not just about reliving the same moments from the games. It's about giving players the tools to create their own stories and experiences in that world. That's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
It's familiar enough to draw you in.
Right.
But then it's also fresh and exciting enough to keep you hooked.
Absolutely.
And the best part,
Yeah.
it's completely free.
That's right.
All of this amazing content.
It's incredible.
The core rule books, the expansions,
Yeah.
all the modules and supplements.
But all available online for free.
That's really a testament to the passion and dedication of the UESRPG community.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
They've created something truly special.
Yeah.
And they're sharing it with everyone without asking for anything in return.
It's a great example of what can be achieved through collaborative creation.
Definitely.
This is a game made by fans for fans.
Yeah, you could see that in every aspect of it.
For sure.
Well, I'm ready to gather some friends, roll some dice,
Yeah.
and see what adventures await in the world of the Unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG.
Me too.
If you're a fan of the Elder Scrolls,
Yeah.
and you're looking for a tabletop experience that captures the magic and depth of those games,
Right.
this is it.
It really is.
The world of Tamriel awaits.
Absolutely.
Gather your party, sharpen your swords,
Uh-huh.
and prepare to embark on an unforgettable journey.
It's going to be epic.
And may your dice rolls be ever in your favor.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Until next time, happy gaming, everyone.
See you later.